All right, welcome back to my holiday countdown coach spotlight. My name is Kari Langkamp. I am a master certified coach, and for this month, I have been featuring all different coaches from different areas of focus. And today I am thrilled to introduce you to Rosa Lopez. She is a financial related coach for millennials. I'll let her elaborate on that a little more specifically, but I first crossed paths with her when I was coaching at the Life Coach School, and it has just been so fun to watch you just grow and expand your voice and share more. So I'm just thrilled that you are here. So thank you so much for joining me. Yeah.
Thank you for having me. This is exciting. I love that you're doing this. I couldn't believe when you reached out. This is such a great idea to feature, I think, how coaching can really help amplify your life or at least make it a little bit less painful, I think, for some people. So,
Yeah. And
yeah,
there's
I
so many
appreciate
coaches
that.
doing so much great work, but all in different ways and different areas, right? It's not like yes, we're all coaching, but we're all doing our unique spin on things. And I think
Mhm.
that's what's really fun. So would you want to share more of your spin? What you
Yeah,
love?
definitely.
Sure.
So I focus on working with millennials, millennial women, specifically professionals that are making good money but struggling with overspending. And it can look something like on paper, this is usually what I hear on paper, their income looks good, but they can't go on vacation as often as they'd like to go. They can't, save for a house. There's a lot of talk in the news and just in general and on social media about how millennials can't afford a house anymore. And I think that it's a space that there's a lot of shame around. Every time I talk to someone, actually, just this week, I was talking to someone just messaging, and the word shame came up. And it's interesting because a lot of women think that it has nothing to do, like, in fact, this person said something to the effect of like, I know it doesn't matter to you, but I feel a lot of shame. And it does matter. And actually, that is, I am the person that would care because our thoughts and our feelings, the way we feel on a day-to-day basis about our regular life, about our job, about our family situation, about what we have going on or what we don't have going on, especially as millennials. There's a lot of us that, or a lot of women that have chosen to not have kids or not get married, things like that. So there's a lot of comparison. Social media, it's so easy to compare yourself at the swipe of a finger. It's so easy to compare yourself to everyone else and think that you're behind. So I was noticing that, and I just decided that this is a space that I know that I could definitely help in. I grew up definitely in an overspending environment. And the way I like to think of it is I think of it as kind of like a spectrum. There's overspending and then there's oversaving. And this is just something that I made up to kind of help visualize, how you can spend your money, basically, or how overspending or oversaving looks like. And I grew up in an environment where, credit card debt was just the norm. It was like, this is the way we do life. This is like, there's just no other way, right? There's not enough money. There's a lot of that. And I saw the way that, if we had a rough weekend or, we were just feeling bored, it's like, let's go shopping. Let's go have dinner. Let's go have ice cream. Like, even though there's a lot of talk around like treat yourself, there's a lot of like, oh, you work so hard, treat yourself. We were, but the interesting part is that at no point did I ever feel like we were well off. I knew that things were not good kind of under the hood. But you just kind of learn not to question and also not to really ask for anything because I was never the one that could decide like, hey, let's go shopping. It was always just kind of like, you know, um, parents, right? And actually, I grew up with a single mom. So I definitely want to clarify that I do not blame parents. I do not
Yeah.
blame moms. I definitely, when I look back to kind of, I've done a little research on just generation, like what my grandma went through, makes sense what she went through with her mom, where my mom and, what she went through and how she showed up as a child, and I do see the improvement, and I do feel like it's my turn to kind of continue
Sure.
that trajectory of like, okay, they didn't really have financial literacy. My mom didn't really have financial literacy. She was a stay-at-home mom turned single working mom, and she didn't really have that. And I actually thought that getting a degree was going to solve all my financial problems. If I had a degree
Yeah.
and I had a good paying job, like I was set. And even though I did enjoy my 20s, I was very much kind of thinking that if we were overspending, by the way, I didn't have these terms when I was younger,
Of
but if
course.
we were spending, we were spending so much, all I had to do was like spend little and I would be good. So that's where I'm talking about that spectrum where it's like I went from like one spectrum to the other, from one end to the other, and I became like a cash hoarder, oversaver. I don't know, how somebody would call that, but somebody that just was stashing away cash, even though I didn't really need it at the time. But the interesting part was that I wasn't even like investing it or doing something more productive with it, right? Where I could, you know, invest it and then maybe in my 30s achieve some level of financial freedom. That was not the case. I was just saving because I felt very safe having that money there. And I'd often throw phrases around like, I don't want to end up living on the street, even though I, in fact, would never.
Right.
Even if I had been fired and took a low paying job, I knew in my mind, my logical mind, that would never happen for me. But for some reason, having that money there was my safety net, and I didn't. And now that I look back, I'm like neither was healthy, neither was good for what I wanted out of life. And leave it up to having a kid. I had my first child to kind of like snap you into
Yes.
place and be like, I can't do this anymore. So that's when I really started to kind of navigate the far ends of that. It's like there were times where, I'd kind of go on one end, times where I'd go on the other. And the best analogy is that it's kind of like yo-yo dieting. And I knew that neither were good. So I kind of went through my own
Sure.
transformation, financial transformation. I started investing. I actually invested, except for an emergency fund, I invested all of the cash that I had, which was about six figures, in the stock market. Obviously, there was a level of like overcoming my fears,
Sure.
making sure I was doing the safe choice. And by the way, I had a lot of this information already because I work in accounting and finance, and I was watching people do this
Other
all the
people.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like I had this thing where it's like, not for me, not for me.
Yeah.
And the interesting part is that the same thing goes. The people that I've worked with have been successful women, sometimes in financial spaces. I spoke to a woman recently that was that is a CPA, and this is the part where I tell people that it's not about the dollars. Like a lot of people think it's about like the math. Like I can't figure out the math, or the math needs more numbers, right? So that's something that can you, it
Yep. You're
looks like I
back.
froze for a second.
You're all
Yeah.
good.
I, so that's something that I have to remind people that this goes beyond the math. The math is important. The numbers are important. It is important for you to kind of know financially where you stand. But the fact that we're like human beings, there's something that goes beyond that. And comes back to our thoughts, what we think about money, often influenced by, how we grew up. And every person that I've worked with that I've talked to has a very similar story. So that's my mission, is to kind of help women regain that power of their spending power. One thing that I do mention often to them when I'm talking to them, and actually this past week, I was talking to somebody that I'm going to collaborate with, and I told her that I want to help women see spending more as like a power versus as something that they have to do in order to kind of stay alive and kind of stay relevant, again, and going back to the social media comparison piece. It's really something that you can use your spending to, create your life, to move it in the direction that you want it to move.
Yeah.
um
Yeah. Be
it really
intentional.
is. Yes, exactly. It really is empowering, and it just feels amazing to be able to ask yourself things like, or not ask yourself, to give yourself the option of like, hey, should we move to this country or not? Should we move to another state? Can we move to the suburbs? Can we buy a house, period? Like, oh, we're going to need a car probably in 2 years. um you know let's start saving so that we aren't, just the car breaks down and all
Right.
of a sudden now you've got to throw yourself into this car purchase. Yeah, so these are all things that I are actual things that have happened to me and that I've heard from my clients as well. So it really is something that I think that spending and money touches every single part of your life. And I really do think that it's, yeah, a power that women need to kind of regain. And that's been my mission.
Yeah. And I think anytime that you explore your relationship with money, right, you're not just learning about yourself and growing in that part of your life, right? If you are figuring out why is it that I won't spend anything, or why is it that my money disappears every month, when you explore those thoughts, you're going to find out all kinds of things about yourself in other areas of your life too, right?
Yes,
It's
exactly. It spills over into every area, 100%.
yeah,
One of the thoughts that I've had recently that I actually haven't put any content about, but I've been kind of just simmering, is that how you spend your money is how you do everything, like everything in life. Because if you spend your money in a way that feels like really scarce, you're going to go out to work, let's say,
right.
and you're going to feel like you can't get a raise because money is scarce. You're going to feel like, if somebody gets something that you're not going to be able to, if they get a raise, you can't, that means you can't. And goes back to that zero sum game idea.
Yeah.
And I've experienced it myself because I've had those same exact thoughts,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
of
Scarcity
just
mindset
feeling
just
like, yes,
is, if
exactly.
that's what your mindset is, it's going to show up in so many ways that we might
Exactly.
not realize until you have someone
Yeah,
to help you see where it's like, oh, this is showing up over here because I'm
exactly.
thinking this everywhere, not just about my bank account. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Relationships, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And right. Yeah. It
Hmm.
impacts every part of your life. I also love that you're right talking about kind of the overspending and the oversaving, and that there is this, right, as at my age, my husband is nearing retirement, young for retiring, but right, we're thinking about things at a different stage and realizing like, oh, okay, we've been really careful and done a really good job of saving, but ooh, wait a minute, where could we have actually allowed ourselves a little more freedom, right? Where can we
Yes.
come to the middle a little bit more? So,
Yeah.
and not that we regret choices we made, but just
Right.
right, it's interesting to think about that there's more of a spectrum rather than it just this or
Yes.
that, right?
Yeah. And even
Very
then, I feel
helpful.
like in the middle, like even us, like there's months
Right.
where it goes one way and the other. But overall, I think it's like just overall how you feel about where you're at. Because there are people that are overspenders and, by the definition of it, but they don't think they are because maybe they feel comfortable with it and, maybe they have plans for the future or something. And those are the people that I don't really work with because they don't feel that urgency. They don't have that kind of immediate need.
Yeah. They don't
So
see it as a challenge or an issue for them, right? If
exactly.
you're over, if you're spending whatever that amount is for
Yeah.
that person and you're fine
Hmm.
with it, okay.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
I'm
Just like
guessing
when I
most
was
of the
growing
people,
up.
right, you're working with are
Yeah,
not fine with it. So
exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Or have
Correct.
goals that they want to be able to get to that is preventing.
Exactly. That's really what it comes down to. They want to buy a house. They want to, some people want to start a family. I worked with someone that wanted to start a family and she's like, I need to get this before I go into that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yes.
yeah.
And as you already pointed out, right? Kids come and like all of those things that were small
They shake
challenges
things up.
become like,
Oh
oh, there
my
they
God.
are. So front
Yes.
and center. Yes.
Hmm.
Yes.
Correct.
So if
Yeah.
someone wants to work with you to kind of dive into this, what's the best, like, how is what's your approach or how should they go about that? I guess tell us a little more about that.
Yeah, so I'm mostly on Instagram. My handle is real Rosa Lopez, and they can reach out to me via DM there. We can have a chat. I do offer a free, just one-on-one call to kind of help them more so than anything, kind of just create like a direction. Because a lot of the times people come and they have so many things that they want to do, but we want to kind of help tease all those ideas out and help them with where to even start. And if they want to work with me at that point, I offer private coaching. I have a program that helps them. It's a like a proven method that I have
Sure.
to help them overcome that overspending habit. And we set a very specific goal, and the idea is that when they come out, they have every single thing that they need to continue replicating this. And like we said earlier, like this ends up spilling into other areas of their life. And that's the great thing about it. So
And having talked to you and know your training, my guess is that that proven formula incorporates, right? There's probably some tactics, but there's a
there are,
lot
yeah.
of like pulling apart your thoughts that are preventing you from
Yes,
taking the
a
tactic,
hundred
right?
percent.
Yeah.
No one thinks it's that. They all think it's like if I just had like the magic setup.
Yeah.
And when you look under the hood, you realize that it's, yeah, a lot of what you're thinking, a lot of what you're feeling about how the actions that you're taking because of the way that you're
Yeah.
thinking. We talked about scarcity and things like that. So 100%. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I thank you
Hmm.
so much for joining me here today.
Yeah.
I will be sure to share where you can find Rosa below this video, and so you can reach out. She has amazing content on Instagram that you can get all sorts of nuggets of wisdom just starting there, and then reach out to her there and find out more. Anything else you want to share before we wrap?
No, I think that's it. Just that one last thought is that I always tell women that when they have control of their money, they have control of their life, their future, the direction of where their life is going. And I would just encourage them to lean into that and to reconnect with that part. So
Amazing. It's important and powerful work you are doing. So thank you for
thank
joining.
you.
All right.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Take care.